Lecture 1. Introduction to Applied Professional Research. Today's accounting professionals are witnessing major changes in law, right? In types of new services, new technologies, and new standards. Accounting professionals are involved in a variety of services such as accounting attestations, right? Tax compliance, forensic accountings, for examinations, tax planning, in addition to the traditional bookkeeping, auditing, stuff. And very often, right, we must present and defend our views or opposing others' views through formal and informal communications. And we need to learn how to do research, how to do that. Right? To resolve those issues, we must have a clear definition of the problem. Right? Then we use professional database to search relevant authorities. Right? We're going to view those literature. We're going to evaluate the alternatives and draw the conclusions. And finally, we communicate results to other people. All these need us to think critically, so we need to develop our critical thinking skills. So how do we achieve that? Right? We need to learn how to research. So what is research? The research can be either a theoretical research or applied research. Right. Theoretical research adds to new knowledge using empirical data on experimentation or observation. For example, we can use data from company to see after we implement the new accounting rules, right? The market is better informed, right? We can do that, and that's a theoretical research. We try to prove that a new accounting rule is better. And applied research investigates an issue of immediate practical importance. For example, should I record this asset using the fair value or its historical cost value? Okay, which one is more appropriate? Okay, that's also research questions, and that's applied research. The focus of this course is applied research, and it's a systematic investigation of an issue or problem utilizing the researcher's professional judgment. And our judgment is especially important if there's no authoritative pronouncement exists. In other words, if there's no rule about particular transactions, okay, what should we do? Okay, we need to think critically and do a research on this topic. There are two types of applied research. We have a priori research. A priori research is conducted before the actual transactions. For example, we can have a tax planning research, right? We can study what should we do. We do this or do that. We're going to end up with less tax burden. That's a prior research. We can also have a posterior research that relates to a completed event. So after we have our all transactions, for example, how do we categorize income? How do we categorize expenses? So we can reduce our tax litigation. That's posterior research. And here we have the definition for accounting and auditing research. That is, it's an active, systematic, and logical approach in documenting evidence underlying a conclusion relating to accounting or auditing issue, a problem currently confronting the accountant or auditor. In this course, we're going to provide answers to what's, why's, and how's of practical professional accounting, auditing, and tax research. We must conduct research effectively and efficiently to arrive at appropriate and timely conclusions. Efficiency is very important. Okay, we must meet deadlines, right? And to reduce the research cost. So the research should be structured so that fewest number of resources, sources are reviewed in developing conclusions. Right? Other attributes include general applicability. So research design should apply to a wide variety of problems or issues, and it should be conclusive. The research design should result in a defensible conclusion. Critical thinking and effective communications. Researchers need to know how to think. Right? That is, they must identify the problem or issues, gather relevant facts, analyze the issues, right, and evaluate alternatives, develop solutions, and finally, right, communicate the information to other people. Right, during the whole process, effective communication is essential. Right, we must have coherence, conciseness, and the good use of standard English, and achievement of the purpose for the intent readers. Right, and we're going to cover critical thinking and communication in the next lecture. Role of research. For standard setters, it is desirable, right, to investigate the economic consequences of proposed accounting rules, right? Because we want to know, right, what are the consequences if we implement the new accounting rules. Therefore, the standard setters like the FASB and the GASB, they conduct numerous research on the economic impact of their proposed standards. And for accounting firms, right, research is also important. Right, for practitioners, they are expected to possess ability to conduct efficient research. The lack of research ability may lead to very negative consequences. For example, SEC charged a CPA that the failure to conduct any research on the appropriate method of valuation constitutes a failure to act with due professional care. So that CPA is prosecuted by the SEC. Therefore, the professional accountant must possess this ability to use relevant sources to locate applicable authoritative pronouncement or law, right, and to reach their conclusion. And due to the expanding complex environment, many accounting firms have created a research specialization within the firm. So all the difficult questions will be referred to that team. And for global accounting firms, it will be global, right, regional offices that can handle a variety of research topics. And typically, for those research group, it will be divided into a small unit, for example, accounting unit, right, auditing unit, and other units. So this unit interpret the firm's policies on accounting, on auditing, and other matters after careful and comprehensive research. Of course, those easy questions should be answered by you. Okay, research needed for the CPA exams. The current CPA exams consist of 3 core exam sections. We have financial, we have auditing, and we have tax, right? And you're going to pick one discipline exams, which is I think that's financial again, and and tax, and the other is information system and control. Basically, 4 skills are needed: remembering and understanding, which is the easiest one; application, analysis, and evaluation. Those skills are needed, right? Among which remembering and understanding, that's a basic requirement. Application represents about half of those questions. Then analysis, evaluation is, especially evaluation, is very comprehensive. You have to solve the problems and draw conclusions. Okay, and in the CPA exams, we have tax-based simulations. Okay, for example, you'll be asked to interpret and apply the relevant professional literature to specific fact patterns in various cases. Okay, and in this course, we're going to cover those kind of questions. And you're going to need to include multiple responses, some of which may go beyond just locating a citation and moving to a problem solving. The literature presented will be from various parts of the authoritative literature rather than an isolated database. So those will be very comprehensive questions to ask, and this is what we learn from the accounting research. Right, so this picture summarizes the research process. We have 5 steps. So we're going to go through these steps quickly, and we're going to talk more details in later lectures. The first step, we're going to identify the problem, define the problems, define the precise problems, why and what. At first, it is better to gather many facts than too little facts, okay, as you are learning the research process. Then we're going to try to be precise, drop irrelevant facts and keep the relevant facts. We extract source of the issue, justify the issue, and narrow scope. Right, remember, we have to solve these problems efficiently, which means, right, we try to be precise but to reduce our costs. Right, once we identify a problem, we need to, step 2, collect the evidence. We're going to review relevant authoritative accounting or auditing literature and survey present practice. So we should be familiar with all available resources. And sometimes, if there's no answer from the authoritative pronouncement, we have to develop our own resolution based on facts and based on critical thinking. Of course, during all the process, we must evaluate costs and benefits. Step 3, we're going to analyze the results and identify the alternatives. We must support each alternative with authoritative literature or theoretical justification with concise documentation. The soundly documented conclusions are only possible when information has been properly collected, organized, and interpreted. Okay, so we expect to have properly documented alternatives from organized, collected information. Step 4. After analyzing alternatives and including economic consequences, we're going to develop conclusions. Right, typically only the final conclusions will be presented to client. Of course, we can include alternative ones in the appendix. And step 5, and finally, we're going to communicate the results to client, often in the form of a research memo. And in the research memo, we should have a statement of the facts, right? We're going to state precisely the issue, what the issue about, and we're going to brief straightforward or conclusions, discuss the authoritative literature, and explain how it applies to the set of facts and how we reach conclusion. What we should avoid, right? We should avoid excessive discussion of issues, excessive citations, right? Excessive inclusion of irrelevant information, right? Of course, unnecessary citations should always be avoided. So this is a basic process of conducting applied accounting research. We're going to apply this 5-step framework throughout this textbook. Data analytics, together with new emerging technologies like AI, right, are having a major impact in the accounting professions. Data analytics is a process of inspecting, cleaning, transforming, and modeling data to discover useful information for decision making. For example, data analytics is now widely used in auditing professions. And the data analytics can be either qualitative or quantitative. For sure, it can enhance decision makings and assist auditors, right, in analyzing client data, right? And these technologies are revolutionizing accounting professions. So our attitude towards technologies like AI wouldn't say no, okay? For the policy, course policies, okay? Wouldn't say no to AI, but it cannot just copy and paste from AI, okay? You can use AI as a learning reference, but pay attention to check those facts generated by AI. Okay, it's a good way to learn, new technology. All right, so that concludes our lecture 1.